The concept of a seventh sense has always occupied a fascinating niche in scientific and philosophical thought, hovering somewhere between established biology and speculative neuroscience. But what if this seventh sense isn't mystical at all, but physical, measurable, and already working inside each of us? Emerging research on the microbiome neuropod-brain axis raises exactly this possibility. What we're witnessing may be the rise of neurobiotic signaling, a distinct form of perception rooted in the gut's ability to sense microbial activity and transmit that information directly to the brain in real time. This pathway, if fully validated, could warrant its own classification as an independent sensory system, on par with touch, taste, or vision. Traditional sensory systems are defined by specific criteria. They detect external or internal stimuli via specialized receptors. They have unique neural pathways to the brain, and they result in perceptual or behavioral changes. Neurobiotic signaling checks all these boxes. Specialized gut cells, known as neuropods, act as the sensory receptors. They interface directly with microbes and microbial metabolites, sampling the gut's biochemical environment much like taste buds detect flavor. These signals are then passed along the vagus nerve in milliseconds, using synapse-like structures. Just like other senses transmit data to the brain through dedicated neural highways. The gut doesn't just send information, it feels its internal microbial ecosystem and uses that data to shape perception, mood, hunger, and even cognition. What makes neurobiotic signaling particularly striking is that it's not merely chemical. For decades, scientists believed that microbial influence on the brain occurred slowly through hormone-like molecules or immune responses. But neuropods allow for something faster and more precise: neurotransmission. These cells can fire action potentials, the same language neurons use, and deliver microbial messages directly to brain regions involved in appetite, emotion, and memory. In short, this is not just a modulatory influence, it's a sensory event. If we accept that sensory systems exist to monitor the state of the body and its environment to guide behavior, then neurobiotic signaling may be among the most fundamental. It doesn't just help us know whether food is salty or the air is warm. It tells us whether our internal ecosystem is balanced, threatened, starved, or flourishing. It guides cravings, food choices, stress responses, and even social behavior. Like the sense of smell influences memory, or balance influences motion, the neurobiotic sense appears to influence the architecture of mood, motivation, and homeostasis. Classifying it as a distinct sensory modality would also validate something many people have intuitively sensed: that their gut feeling is not metaphorical. The sensations that arise from the abdomen, unease, satisfaction, craving, dread, may be real outputs of a perceptual system designed to track microbial and nutritional cues. And it isn't passive. The brain can send messages back down to the gut, altering digestion, permeability, and even microbial composition in a feedback loop that blurs the line between thought and biology. What's especially exciting is that this sense might be trainable. Just as visual acuity can improve with practice, or taste can be refined over time, the neurobiotic sense could become more precise and balanced through diet, sleep, stress management, and exposure to microbial diversity. Practices like fasting, fiber-rich eating, or even mindful breathing might not just influence metabolism, they might refine how the brain listens to the gut's microbial symphony. In that way, neurobiotic perception isn't just a new scientific term, it's a skill set, one with potential to improve health, clarity, and emotional regulation. Some might argue that because this system lacks conscious awareness, unlike vision or hearing, it doesn't qualify as a true sense. But that criticism may be outdated. Modern neuroscience increasingly acknowledges that many sensory systems operate below the threshold of consciousness. Proprioception, for example, our sense of body position, rarely reaches conscious thought until something goes wrong. Likewise, interoception, the sense of internal bodily states like heartbeat or thirst, was once overlooked but is now a central topic in psychology and psychiatry. Neurobiotic signaling fits into this growing framework of subconscious senses that profoundly shape behavior without requiring our attention. So, should neurobiotic signaling be formally recognized as the seventh sense? It may be more accurate to say it's the next sense, one we're only now learning to measure and understand, but which has always been part of us. If validated through further research, especially mapping the precise pathways from microbial signals to perceptual changes, it could radically shift how we define human perception. Not only would it deepen our understanding of mental health, appetite, and emotion, it would challenge us to reframe the body not as a host to microbes, but as a collaborative sensory system shaped by them. In the end, neurobiotic signaling isn't just a clever term for gut-brain communication. It represents a newly uncovered biological language, a form of internal perception evolved not only to detect our environment, but to sense and respond to the invisible world within. And in a time of rising chronic illness, anxiety, and disconnection from our own bodies, rediscovering this hidden sense might be the most human thing we can do.